Ethan Cole wasn't the kind of man who complained. He'd been through worse. Deployment overseas, losing his wife to illness, raising a little girl alone while working 2 jobs. Complaining never fixed anything. At 37, his face carried the quiet strength of a man who had seen too much, but still refused to let the world break him. He lived paycheck to paycheck, fixing air conditioners by day and cleaning offices at night. The small apartment he shared with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was old but warm. She called it their little castle. Lily was the light of his world. Every morning, she'd hug him before school and whisper, "Don't be sad today, Daddy." And every time, Ethan smiled and said, "Never sweetheart." Even when he was. That night, the rain was merciless. Ethan had just finished his last service call and was counting the coins for gas when he saw the stranded car. He almost drove past. He really did. But Lily's voice echoed in his mind. "Always help people, Daddy. Like Mommy used to." So he stopped. The woman was young, maybe in her early 30s. Her name was Grace Turner, a freelance architect who had just moved into town for a big city project. Her car had broken down halfway home, and her phone had died hours ago. She was shivering, clutching her bag like it was the only thing holding her together. Ethan offered her his jacket and quickly checked the engine. "Alternator's gone," he muttered. "You won't be going anywhere tonight." Grace smiled weakly. "Lucky me. Guess I picked the right spot to break down." He chuckled, shrugging. "Lucky for you, I'm a part-time mechanic on weekends." It took him nearly half an hour in the cold rain, hands numb and soaked, but he managed to get the car running enough to make it home. Grace thanked him repeatedly, offering to pay, but Ethan refused. "You don't owe me anything. Just get home safe." She smiled. "That kind of smile that stays with you. I insist. You didn't just fix my car tonight, Mr. Cole. You might have saved me." Before she left, she took his number, just in case she needed more repairs. Ethan didn't think much of it. He'd helped a stranger, and that was that. But a week later, Grace showed up at his apartment. This time, she wasn't stranded. She was holding blueprints. "I wanted to thank you properly," she said, smiling at Lily, who peeked shyly from behind the couch. "I might have a job for you, Mr. Cole." The job was simple at first. Maintenance and small renovations at one of the old community centers where Grace's firm was doing design work. But over the next few weeks, she saw something in Ethan. His precision, his care, his quiet resilience. He wasn't just fixing walls and wires. He was rebuilding a place with pride. And maybe, without realizing it, she was rebuilding something inside him too. 3 months passed. The friendship between Grace and Ethan grew into something more profound. Not romantic, not yet, but deeply human. She brought light into the Cole home again, helping Lily with her school projects, teaching her about art and design. For the first time in years, laughter filled their apartment. Then one Friday evening, Grace invited Ethan to the grand opening of the renovated community center. It was the first major project she'd led in town. Ethan stood at the back of the crowd, wearing his only clean shirt, pride swelling in his chest as Grace spoke on stage about rebuilding lives through design. What he didn't know was that Grace had mentioned him in her proposal to her firm's board. She told them how a single father working double shifts had saved her life that night, and how his craftsmanship, dedication, and humility became the inspiration behind their new Hope Project, a program hiring local single parents for training and stable jobs in construction and maintenance. When Grace called Ethan onto the stage, he froze. "Ethan Cole," she said into the mic, her voice trembling with emotion, "you thought you just stopped to help a stranger that night. But your kindness, it built something bigger. You helped us create an entire program that's already changed 12 families' lives." The crowd applauded. Lily was in the front row, clapping with tears streaming down her face. Grace turned to Ethan and smiled. "You taught me that sometimes the smallest acts, stopping in the rain, offering help without expecting anything, are the ones that rewrite the future." From that day, Ethan became the lead supervisor of the Hope Project, with steady pay, benefits, and a chance to spend more time with Lily. A year later, their community center expanded to neighboring towns, giving dozens of struggling parents a chance to rebuild their lives. And every time it rained, Ethan would look out the window, remembering that night, the headlights, the rain, the woman waving for help, and whisper to himself, "Never ignore someone in the storm. You never know whose future you're stopping for." Greater than sometimes, fate doesn't arrive with thunder, it comes quietly, soaked in rain, asking for help. Ethan stopped because of kindness. But what he didn't know was that kindness would one day come back, Not just for him, but for everyone he loved.